Hello, everybody. Welcome back to, and we did it the old fashioned way on this week's show, Miami Total Football Radio, the show, aka Miami Total Football Radio Show. Jose Armando joining me for what is effectively Jose Armando week because Inter Miami travels to Honduras to play a friendly, first friendly in Inter Miami's history in Honduras. Although it is not against your beloved Motagua, it is against arguably the better team, el mejor equipo, Olimpia. But we will get to that. We'll preview that game a little later on in the pod. Jose, how are you doing? Cannot hear you, Jose. You're on mute.
Why are you muting me to start the show?
You
need to wait that for a little bit longer. But no, excited. It's a fun week. It's Honduran week and into Miami, so we'll get to talk to David Ruiz tomorrow. The game on Saturday. I've already done, quite a few interviews. Gone into a social media battle with some people in Honduras as well. So it's an ongoing situation, but just enjoying it and having a lot of fun. Yes.
So Jose, as I promised you, and this is such a great episode to do this in because again, you're Honduran football expert, soccer expert. What better person to have on this week's show than you? I mean, you're on the show every week, but I'm saying, what better person to have on the show than you? Andrea Ajicita Yanes was supposed to be with us, but she had a last-minute schedule change, so she's not here. But we'll make do with one of the two Hondurans all the same. By the way, I promised you on your last appearance, because you weren't on last week's pod, 2 weeks ago, that the next show, which was last week's show, I would wear my NWO shirt, which obviously you weren't on last week's show, so I had to hold on to it for this week's show. And there it is, because we were talking about wrestling, and you're like, what is that? Well, here you go. There you go. And the comment section knows. Look at the comment section over here.
No, the comment section, they have no idea.
Mike V, Heart Foundation over NWO. See, they know.
That will be the only comment that will refer to your T-shirt. Nobody knows this.
Jose, we know you. We know you are pop culturally challenged. It's not your forte, but it's okay. It's okay. We understand. By the way, I have a question for the comment section before we get to the football, the soccer. Lionel Messi, the red card.
Is it going to be a wrestling question?
No, it's not going to be a wrestling question. It's going to be a question about a shirt question, though. What color is Jose's shirt? Don't say a color. No, Jose, don't say a color. I'm not going to say a color. I just want to see what the comment section says. Because Jose and I were having a little debate, and obviously if you listen to the podcast after the fact and you don't watch it, well, Jose is wearing a T-shirt that it's light in color, but we didn't come to an agreement on what color it was. So I'll let the comment section start to trickle.
It's pretty clear what color it is.
Well, Mike V says purple, which is
no, it's not purple. Definitely
purple. Thomas says
what?
Gray.
Great, no, it's not gray. Come on, guys.
Okay, well, you can't tell the people what color it is.
Ivory is not a color.
Okay, let's leave it to the people to decide what color it is.
White? No, that is a color though.
Steve Munoz with the color white. Well, the comment section fills in with their thoughts on what color your shirt is. Maybe you should give us a good look, Jose. Get a little closer.
Here.
There we go.
It's pretty clear.
Well, while the comment section figures it out, Jose, we've got a good bit to talk about per usual. Welcome back. You are the guy for the preview for the Honduras friendly against Olimpia, and we'll get to that in a second because, of course, we have to recap the last game against Sporting San Miguelito, which included a red card for a couple fouls on Lionel Messi, which we'll talk about.
You guys are being overly dramatic about that red card.
So we just want to jump into it? Are we just going to jump into it right away? Así?
Yes.
De una? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think it's big a deal.
Hold on. Before you get there, before we dive into it head first, there you go. Francisco Garcia says, verde desteñido.
Ding, 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 ding.
Mike V says, oh, it's that 90s pastel green.
It is green, yes.
I call it
teal. You said teal, some other things that are not colors. It's green. Thank you, guys.
It's not green.
See?
It's a
Nobody said
version.
whether you
It's a
said
version
teal
of
or
green.
anything.
It's
There's
a version of
green.
green.
There's only one version of green.
Someone put mint green. Steve Munoz put mint green, which I like. It's actually pretty
Oh
nice.
my god.
Um,
Just green. That's it. Green.
I don't know about that. All right. Anyway, enough t-shirt talk. And Jose, Inter Miami went to Panama to play against Sporting San Miguelito this past Sunday. And Inter Miami won its first game of this preseason because the other two they drew and then won via penalty kicks. So tie officially or unofficially because these games don't count, but ties nonetheless. This game they won. They were better than the opponent. It took them a little while to get into the game. We'll analyze the match in a little more detail here, but let's just begin with the red card that came on two fouls from the 19-year-old Panamanian defender. His name escapes me at the moment. I have it written down. Do you have it off the top of your head?
Gudio, something like that.
No, terrible. I have it here. Hold on. The red card came from 19-year-old defender
Aidar Gumudio.
Aymar Kunduni.
Kundumi.
Aymar Kundumi with a second half red card, straight red card, for a couple of fouls on Lionel Messi. Now, the second one
was it a straight red card?
Yes, I think so. Yes. No?
Oh, well, I think he got a yellow right before that.
Well, so the second foul was not yellow worthy in terms of the contact. The second one. But there's a reason why the red was given. Now, the red was given because moments before that foul on Messi, where he just kind of like got physical with him, got handsy with him, he goes to slide tackling in from behind on Messi. That alone should have been a red card. That absolutely, I know you're going to disagree with me, but that absolutely should have been a red card. He should have been sent off right then and there. He wasn't. They gave him a yellow. It led to a big tussle between the two teams, which produced this magical image that will forever be etched in our memories. Oh man, fantastic stuff! Look at Chelo Weigand,
which doesn't really reflect what happened, though.
No, he's definitely no. Jose, I know we talked about this during the week, and you were like, "Oh, you saw that picture where Chelo? It looked like he was about to fight, but he wasn't." Jose, his posture is pretty clear that he's. I
didn't see that on the video.
That's wild, Jose. It's pretty clear that he's putting him up. I
didn't see that on the video. Plus, if that was the case, Mosquera will crush Chelo Weigand.
I mean, probably. That's probably true or not true. I don't know, but I mean, he definitely was like he was ready. He was ready to throw some bows. Jose, what is the comment section is loving Chelo for? I think Chelo, honestly, I'm not joking about this. I think Chelo won over a lot of people with his immediate and stark defense, his very stout defense of Messi. Thomas in the comment section says, Chelo for president. Jason says, respect more Chelo. Steve Munoz, Chelo's hands rated E for everyone. Mike V, Chelo lifting his shorts like a fight in the hood. Francisco Garcia, los canaleros son excelentes.
Right, that's true, yes. They are outstanding boxers.
Panamanians?
Oh, yes, they are, yes.
For people that don't know what canaleros are. Anyway, Jose, to the red card, because we can talk about Chelo in a second.
Yeah, I think it was uncalled for. The challenge was definitely uncalled for. But, I believe if an Inter Miami player was to make that challenge, then I don't think, the referee would have shown a red card. They would just talk about it and, let it go. Listen, guys, we need to calm down. This is a friendly. We need to keep both 22 players on the field as much as we can. And, people will move on. Because it was Messi and because it was a Sporting San Miguelito player, then, Panamanians wanted to be good host and they showed him a red card. But I don't think it was that big a deal, honestly. I mean, by the time they showed the red card, the game was not good at all from the get-go. Sporting San Miguelito was not a good team to face during preseason. I compare this game to the Hong Kong game last year, where they basically played, you know, there was nowhere near a professional team in Hong Kong. They were a little bit better, Sporting San Miguelito, but I didn't see them as a good challenge for Inter Miami at
I
all
mean,
at any time, even though they went ahead.
no. So out of all the opponents Inter Miami has played to this point in preseason, they were probably the weakest of the bunch, right? Would we say that? Would we agree to that?
Yes, I would agree with that, and I would not only agree with that. I would say they were the ones that showed um, some of that family respect to Messi and to Inter Miami. I think America and Universitario, they were acknowledging what Messi means to the game, but they did compete on the field. It felt to me like Sporting San Miguelito was just everybody in the stadium was just there to watch Messi and whatever he wanted to do on the field.
Oh,
Which,
including Aymar.
including the players.
No,
Yes,
no, no, no,
he
no.
went overboard because he was just, out of his mind playing against Messi. Which I hope we don't see that from Honduras. I would be very disappointed if we see that on Saturday from Olimpia players,
No,
because
no.
we have a lot
No.
of national team players in Olimpia. So I don't
Jose,
expect that. I expect respect. I expect a photo every
wait.
now and
So
then.
which is it? So did the players respect Messi or did they not respect Messi? I
Well,
don't
if you
understand.
respect Messi, you try to compete with him. If you're a professional and you respect Messi, you compete. If you're a fan and you respect Messi, you ask for a selfie and you do all that. But if you're a professional soccer player, you go out and compete, and that's it. That's the respect from a pro.
Jose, I'm sorry, man. I don't agree with you on the fact that I mean, yeah, there was some of that wow factor. Messi's here. There was definitely some of that. Of course, there's like that anywhere he goes, any team he plays, pretty much these days with Inter Miami. But I mean, yeah, they played a different game. They weren't a team that tried to go toe to toe, but they try to be physical. They try to be combative. Um, and I thought that they were. And that red card is an example of that. The game was pretty. There was not a whole lot of hard fouls, nothing too crazy. And then that foul comes kind of out of nowhere in the second half, which was a harsh tackle. I disagree with you fully that if it was any other player, that it would just be talked about and then just move on from it. No, I think
So if
that's
Luis Suarez makes that challenge, they will send him off.
no. Okay, did they send off Kundumi? They did not send him off. They didn't send him off. I think he should have been
You
sent
just
off.
said that was the
I
main
think
reason why they ended up sending him off.
oh, absolutely, because on the
All
next
right. So
on
if
the
Luis
very next
Suarez, just same scenario. Let's just switch the Panamanian player for Luis Suarez. Does he get a red card? No,
if
you're already
Luis
doubting your
no
answer,
no
so
no
that
no
means
no
no.
no no. I'm trying
He
to
doesn't get a
process your
red card.
question. I'm going to process your question. If Luis Suarez slid tackled the opposing team's number 10 from behind in the manner that Kundumi did, absolutely he's putting himself at risk of getting a red card. Absolutely.
Putting himself at risk is different from getting the red card.
No. Because now it comes up to
That's the question. Would he get
no.
the red card just like
Porque
the
viene que,
Panamanian
yeah,
player?
no, because now
The
you're
answer
talking
is
about
no, he wouldn't.
no. Now you're talking about criteria del árbitro. So now you're talking
No,
about
no.
a referee's judgment. A referee might be like, you know what, Suarez por jerarquía, because of his name, who he is. You know what? Maybe I'll just warn him. I won't give him a red card. But
That's what I'm saying. He's any Inter Miami player will follow under that criteria that you're just saying. That's what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying.
No, what are you talking
Jordi
about?
Alba will not get a red card for that.
Okay, if Benjamin Kremaski makes that slide tackle,
He doesn't get a red card.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. Look, he didn't get a red card. Kundumi didn't get a red card. I thought it was a clear red card. Not all the same, it wasn't. He got a red card on the ensuing play when he went up the field and tried to badger Messi again. Clearly, the referee didn't want the game to get out of hand after the fracas, after the scuffle, after the tussle. So just sent him off. He did apologize on his Instagram a couple of days later. The young Panamanian defender, the teenager, clearly let his emotions get the best of him. rush of blood to the head.
Was a fan on the field.
I don't understand how you
It
say
was
he was a
similar. It
fan.
was similar to what happened to Yassine with the fan that jumped the fence and sent him to the ground. That's exactly the same thing that happened. Fans playing against Messi and a
Nah,
fan.
how is that a fan playing against Messi? He did the complete opposite of what a
If
fan
you
does.
have to go back and apologize for that, it wasn't like it wasn't like the worst challenge that you have seen. I mean, it was hard.
Jose.
But I mean, it wasn't
It was
crazy.
pretty. Jose, again, okay. We don't have to spend half the show on this topic, but Jose, you don't have to actually break someone's leg to be like, oh crap, that was a bad foul. Like it is a bad foul. Just because he didn't break his leg or severely injure him doesn't make it any less of a bad foul. It's not like, oh well, if you injure someone, is it then considered a vicious tackle or a poor foul? That was a poor foul, nasty foul from behind, unnecessary.
I have seen worst.
I mean, sure, we've all seen worse, but in a preseason friendly, I mean, it was, like you said, an unnecessary foul. Actually, we'll listen to what Javier Mascherano had to say about it because he said he was both surprised and concerned.
Es que más que sorprenderse nos preocupó más que nada porque sobre todo era un partido que no había tenido ningún roce y bueno, fue una jugada puntual donde obviamente es una lástima porque creo que si hay algo lindo para la gente es poder verlo a Leo y bueno, y que alguna entrada así pueda terminar lastimándolo es una lástima.
Jose, what are your thoughts on those comments? And I'll quickly paraphrase. He said he was surprised but also concerned by the tackle because of the context of how the game had unfolded. Didn't think it warranted that type of tackle. He goes on to say that if there's something that people enjoy, it's to watch Lionel Messi play. So he thought it was unfortunate that a tackle like that could injure him happened. This wasn't in the clip, but later on in the interview that we had with Mascherano on, what day was that? Tuesday? Yes, on Tuesday. He said they also aren't overly, concerned about that going forward because they do want their opponents to play them seriously and physically because they don't want it to just end up being like a scrimmage. They want it to have more of the type of intensity of a real game because the season is around the corner. So he was, he straddled the fence there between, yes, they want teams to take them seriously, but he also said, take us seriously, but don't injure Messi, which obviously no one, you don't want anyone going out there with the intention to injure somebody. But obviously, if you want a team to take you seriously, they're going to play you competitively, they're going to play you physically, and they're going to play you roughly, no matter who it is, right? It's not like, oh, well, it's Messi, so you don't touch Messi, as much as maybe some of his fans think that's the case out there.
Right. Well, that's what he needed to say, but not exactly what he believes. Let's remember who Mascherano was on the field. He loves those type of challenges. He went at players several times. It's not like that was, oh my God, shocking for Mascherano. I've never seen something like that before. I got so scared that Messi would get injured. Come on now. Mascherano knows the game. He's not scared about that. He knows exactly what happened. So, that's exactly what he needed to say. But the reality is that he's completely fine with that because he knows that's not that big a deal.
Jose, I think this is the first time this year that you and I have disagreed. Well, we disagreed about the 4-4-2, and you were saying that you didn't know if it was the formation that they would stick with. But I think this is one of the early season biggest disagreements that we're having because Jose, what are you talking about? It was a terrible tackle in a preseason friendly. There was nothing on the line here besides getting minutes and getting a run out and just trying to get ready for the season. Look, Mitch in the comment section. I've never seen Mitch before. I think this is the first time commenting. It's clearly directing this towards you. This guy clearly has something against Messi or doesn't know ball, ... Anywhere in the world, that is a foul and a red card. There was intention behind it. Eden Durance adds it's a preseason game. Jose, I'm sorry, man. I think
not when you play against fans. When you play against fans, this is what happens. Sporting San Miguelito was, a fan-based team for Inter Miami over the weekend. So I wouldn't see stuff like this happen when they play against America or Universitario. They were
Right.
more well organized teams, so they really were a challenge for Inter Miami. I didn't see Sporting San Miguelito a lot, and I honestly, I like I said, if it would happen the other way around, I don't think we would be even talking about it. If Jordi Alba Suarez or Benja, like you said, will make that challenge, this would not be a topic of conversation right now.
It led to another great image in terms of just what, like the picture itself of this. Look at this. Busquets with a hand around his throat, like this is Mortal Kombat. Host it. This quickly lost the plot from being a preseason friendly to almost being a street fight because of that tackle. So I'm shocked, but I guess I shouldn't. I'm not shocked because again, Island Jose on his Honduran island, isn't there? My buddy got married on a Honduran island. What was it called? What's it called?
Roatan.
Roatan. Yes. So maybe that's where you are. Maybe you're just
Maybe.
there'll
be a nice place to be. Let me tell you.
Maybe you were conceived. Maybe you were conceived in Roatan.
Maybe.
Not born, but maybe you were. All the same. Talking about the game in a little more detail, just the matchup itself. Inter Miami again in that 4-4-2. It was Oscar Ustari again in goal, the back four. Chelo Weigand, Thomas Aviles, Noah Allen getting the start at left center back yet again, and Jordi Alba. Your midfield four, bit different. Tadeo Allende, you had Sergio Busquets, Yannick Bright got the start, and to his left, Benjamin Kremaski. Up top, of course, the star duo of Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. Now, Jose, before we dive into the game, we talked a lot about the foul, but a lot of people didn't see the foul. A lot of people saw it after the fact, and that is because, as you can clearly tell from the title of this week's show, Inter Miami had a lot of issues, embarrassing issues, with their link, right? This game was not with their streaming link. This game was not aired on Apple TV, as none of these Latin American-based matches have been. So Inter Miami was streaming it on their YouTube channel, as they have for the game in Peru and as they will for the game in Honduras. But unlike the game in Peru, and hopefully not like the game in Honduras, there was a lot of streaming issues. In the first half, halfway through, the link drops. It just cuts out. It ends. It went away. They get it back up and running. They get another link up and running, which I shared on X for people who were frustrated and scrambling to find a link. They start a second stream. And then that lasts all of a few minutes, still in the first half, before it dies out completely. They create a third link a few minutes later. About the end of the first half. And then at halftime, the halftime whistle blows, and then that link dies, and they never got another link again. So if you were watching the second half, it was not through Inter Miami's YouTube channel. It was not through their streaming link. Jose, I know you were watching the game through Panamanian TV, however you manage that. I may or may not have been watching through questionable methods that included questionable images surrounding the game, but that is the only way I could watch the game, analyze it, and be able to, with reason, say things about the game, like talk about the game, have fundamentos, have actual reasonings for whatever I would analyze and say about the game. Because if I haven't watched the game, I can't really talk about the game, right? So, I may or may not have had to do that. May or may not. I'll leave that up to your guys' imagination as to how I watched that game. All the same, like we said, Inter Miami was the better team. I do think that they were a bit slow. I think the first 20 minutes or so, Sporting San Miguelito had its moments, and then Inter Miami took over. Messi got involved. He didn't get any. I don't think he got any direct assists in this game, but I think he had 2 hockey assists, the MLS assist. He helped. He was involved in the build-up to 2 of the goals. Your goal scorers in this one for Inter Miami were Tadeo Allende, right?
Yes. Benja Cremaschi,
Benjamin Cremaschi
Papa.
and Fafa Pico. So those are your 3 goal scorers. Still no goals for Luis Suarez. He missed a sitter in this one late in the match. Jose, you said it wasn't much of a test for them, but what could you take away from what Inter Miami did? I mean, not a whole lot of new wrinkles, right? Still the 4-4-2. Maybe they had a little bit more free-flowing soccer because the quality of the opponent maybe wasn't as high as in the previous 2 matches. But obviously, Benjamin Cremaschi was on the left. Yannick Bright got a start in the middle. What did you think about the differences that we saw tactically?
Well, I think there were 2 things to this game. I think the prospect of having in a 4-4-2 setup and having, in this case, Benja on the left or Fafa, and on the right side Tadeo Allende, and having them get inside the box leads me to believe this is going to be an offensive-minded team that is going to score a lot of goals. And I like the way Messi is starting to connect with the players through the wings. You would imagine they would be able to make runs behind the defenders, and Messi would be the perfect guy to set them up and score, right? And at the same time, he's still obviously a threat. So you're giving a lot of weapons to Messi offensively, and that is outstanding. I mean, they will be a high-scoring team if that works, and if that is the case in the regular season. Because not only Tadeo Allende scored already, he likes to run a lot. He works on defense as well. And I think with Fafa on the left, they do have that player as well. I would rate much higher Fafa than Cremaschi on the left side. But, if more defense is needed, then Cremaschi could get a start every now and then. But I like the prospect of having Messi so many options ahead of him, so many players, and not only looking for Suarez. And let's not forget that Jordi Alba also makes that beautiful run every now and then through the left side that ends up, he probably finishes play giving the ball back to Messi and scoring like we have seen them do throughout the years. And that's amazing, and I like that. I like that a lot. Now, my problem with that is that you have so many numbers moving forward that what is going to happen once it doesn't work? Because not every pass from Messi is going to be perfect, or not every run from Tadeo or Fafa will be perfect. So if for some reason they end up losing the ball, who's actually going to run back? Is it going to be Busquets chasing? That's going to be trouble, especially in MLS.
No.
So is that going to be Redondo? He's not that fast as well in the middle. Who's going to track back, especially when you know that Jordi Alba likes to move forward? So that would be the challenge to me. I would like to see a situation in which Inter Miami gets tested in that regard, so that I can actually have proof of what the idea is and what the plan is defensively whenever that happens. Because of the opponents they have been facing, we have been able to see the offensive side of things. But defensively, how is the team going to work? And that's the challenge. But offensively, I like what I see. And, obviously the new guys, it's going to take some more time for them to really gel and understand the system and understand, especially the timing with Messi. So I like it offensively. That's what I would say.
You like it offensively, questions defensively. So I will piggyback off of your comments. I've seen enough in these 3 games to have concerns defensively, in terms of not when they're in their shape. When they're in their shape, they've shown to be compact, tight lines, still not the best in one-on-one defending, but much more compact and organized maybe than they were last year under Tata Martino. And that's when they're in their shape. Like you said, right. It takes time to get into your shape once you've lost the ball in an unexpected way, right? Because if you take a shot, then you get back into shape, right? You have time. But if you lose a ball because of a bad pass, or a pass that just didn't make it, or a miscontrol, or just a good defensive play, then you've got to retroceder, right? You have to replegarte, which is retreat and get into your shape. And how quickly you do that is, a key ingredient to successful teams that do well defensively. And I haven't seen great parts of Inter Miami in that regard against these teams. I've seen times where they've been carved open very quickly with just a few passes. I've seen times where players aren't getting back because maybe they just don't have the legs to get back. Busquets is one of those players. Um, Obviously, again, when they're in their shape, I think you're going to see improvements this year. But when they're not in their shape and they're stretched, let's see how they do. Let's see, because I am a bit concerned in that regard. I think other teams have had success when that has happened, and it is inevitable, like you said, especially with the way Inter Miami plays and with how Messi likes to play. Dangerous through passes in that sometimes pay off and sometimes they don't. So we'll see how it works, but I definitely have concerns there. Who's going to run back? I mean, on San Miguelito's goal, the opening goal, if I'm not mistaken, I think Benjamin Kremaski loses the ball down the left. And he does a good job because he's young, he's got the legs, the energy. He gets back. But he gets back and fills in Jordi Alba's left back spot because Jordi Alba was caught up way high up the field. Jordi Alba doesn't even come into Jordi Alba doesn't even come back into the frame until late in the play. Like if you're watching it on TV or you're watching it on the stream, Jordi Alba doesn't appear. And there was a good few seconds that Benjamin Kremaski filled in at that left back spot. Like there was time for Jordi Alba to get back. Now, I don't know if it was a matter of fatigue for Jordi Alba at that point, although it was, the first half of the game. I don't know if it was a matter of mentally checking out or not, or just thinking it was going to get covered by somebody else or not having that desire because it's preseason. I don't know. You could attribute it to any of those factors.
It's just Jordi Alba. That's typical Jordi Alba throughout his career. Yeah.
So you can attribute it to whatever you want, but Benjamin Kremaski is playing as left back. A through ball's played in behind him. It splits him and Noah Allen, and it leads to an open player and an open goal. Against MLS teams, which will be of higher level than San Miguelito, again, I have concerns for Inter Miami. I have even more concerns for Inter Miami because MLS games are much more wide open. MLS games are more ping pong, back and forth, tennis, dart this way, dart that way. So I am concerned about Inter Miami in that regard, and we'll see how they finish preseason. They have 2 more matches, so we'll see how they do. That's something to keep an eye on. Let's very quickly talk about the 2 guys that entered the lineup, which are Benjamin Kremaski, which we just touched on a little bit, and Yannick Bright. Now, Benjamin Kremaski played out of position on the left. I'm not going to say he was a left winger because he wasn't, but he was the left midfielder of the 4. I want to ask you your thoughts on how he did. Clearly, it's not his preferred position. Clearly, I don't think that this is a long-term view for him. I think this was just, let's get a look at him. Let's get some minutes because he was with the U.S. men's national team, so we haven't had a chance to get him in a game. And with Yannick Bright's case, I mean, I think he's deserving of a start, but Federico Redondo did not travel with Inter Miami to Panama because of a muscle injury. So that is information. Federico Redondo suffered an injury of sorts, muscular injury, so he did not travel. So, Jose, start with Benjamin Kremaski. What did you think of his game? I'm sure this is going to lead into a lot of other things about Benjamin Kremaski in the season, but just what did you think of him overall?
Well, I would think he would have it would be tough for him to start over Fafa, from what we have seen so far in preseason. Obviously, Kremaski scored the goal, but if we look at the overall picture when it comes to how much is he able to help defensively, and how can he really help you in the build-up? Is there really a connection with Messi? I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't think that's his position, and they are just trying to find a way to get him minutes, to be honest, because I think Yannick Bright has taken over. If we look back to the Benja that we thought he would become when he started with Inter Miami, then he will be playing over Yannick Bright right now. At least he will be ahead of him. Even if Redondo starts, then the second choice would be Benja Kremaski, but he's not. It's Yannick Bright. So I think he will have a tough time there. But if it's the only way to go, whether he plays on the left or on the right, then I think he gets into a similar situation with David Ruiz. David Ruiz will not start in the middle. He will not get a lot of opportunities in the middle of the field. But the only way that David Ruiz can get minutes with this team is through the wings. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for him. But, for some reason, Benja continues to get opportunities. Last year for Benja was not very good. So I don't think he can afford another bad year like he had last year.
Mitch in the comment section says Benja has the first touch of a trampoline. Brick feet, but at least he hustles. I mean, yeah, he's got that youthful exuberance, right? He's a young player. Young players are categorized by their endless energy, and obviously that's one of his strengths, one of his fuertes, as you would say. Well, we'll get back to that. I agree with you. Didn't think it was for anything other than to get him minutes. Tucked in a little bit more on that left, Jordi Alba, to allow Jordi Alba to get forward, have space to run down that flank, down that wing. Didn't think he had a great game.
Plus, I would like to add one more thing because it's even more challenging to play on the left side with Inter Miami because you cannot become a roadblock for Jordi Alba.
Right, which is why he was tucked in a little bit, right? He didn't play out wide like a winger. He was more like a third central midfielder just out on the left, right?
Right. And at the same time, you have to become an asset because if not, what you're doing is bringing another defender closer to Jordi Alba. And that defender can relax knowing that, okay, Benja Cremaschi is not going to hurt us. So let me just go ahead and help a little bit more on the left with Jordi nearby. So
hold on. Time out.
It's challenging.
Time out, because if someone watched this game, right? Someone, I'm not saying everyone or the majority, but if someone watched this game and they saw him on the score sheet, they'd be like, "What are you talking about, Jose? He scored, right? He made it. He helped make a difference. He got on the score sheet. He was there. But what Jose is saying is that in more games than not, he's going to struggle to make an impact offensively in that position. Right? He's not going to be a player that plays through balls in behind unless he's had a renaissance or a complete change of heart in terms of his playing style this offseason, which I just don't see happening. Very, very unlikely. He's not that type of player. He's not going to dribble at you or go at you. He's more of a passer of the ball, a hard runner, a hard worker. But it goes back to, when it comes to Benjamin Cremaschi, what is his best position? Is he a 6? Is he an 8? Like what? And this has been a big talking point amongst us in the media. I'm sure, for coaching staffs, they're not 100% entirely sure. I'm sure they have an idea of what they think he could be, but it's not clear cut what his best position is, because clearly he's not a 10, so he's got to be a 6 or an 8. But is he good enough offensively to be an 8, and is he good enough defensively to be a 6?
Yeah, it's a big question. It's crazy because as many opportunities as Benja gets with this team, and yet nobody knows what his position is. I mean, early on in his career, he told us that the player that he looked up to was Rodrigo de Paul, and that was the player that he wanted to become. I think that has changed. At least from the outside, at least that's what he wants to let the people know. He's not that player anymore. That's not exactly what he wants to be moving forward. So, he's very lucky, or I don't know. I don't know what happens.
He's first of all, he's got the Argentine connection thing going here on this team. Right, full of Argentine, so let's not kid ourselves. Let's be honest about that. Second of all, he is the player from the academy that, for whatever reason, Inter Miami has really harped on trying to market. Like they are really high on him in terms of his future prospects. I don't agree with that. I don't see that from the outside, and I've said that from almost day one. I don't see what a lot of people within Inter Miami's organization sees in him. I think he can become a better player, but I don't see that potential to be, as high as, I don't rate him as high as they do. Jade doesn't either, apparently, because he says Ruiz greater than Crema in the comment section. It's going to be a very interesting year. It's going to be a very interesting year. Honestly, I think David Ruiz right now, today, not saying 2 years from now, David Ruiz right now, and this will be music to your ears, is better than Benjamin Cremaschi.
Yes, I think so. But there are so many other things about David Ruiz getting better, because the way they both started, Benja was way ahead from David Ruiz. But if you go back to early videos of both of them with Inter Miami, you'll see that they are different players right now just by looking at them. it's pretty clear that David Ruiz has been able to work on some other aspects of the game. Physically, he looks completely different. Bigger, stronger. He has been able to work on that side of the game. Benga, I
a
basically see
buddy.
the same.
Sorry, funny thing you said that. A buddy texted me during the game and was like, "Did David Ruiz hit the gym?" During one play where David Ruiz goes to the sideline to grab a throw in. I
Right.
think.
I think it's pretty clear. And when you see Benja, you see basically the same player, and you don't know exactly, what his position is. David Ruiz is a little bit in that situation as well, but he's a lot more comfortable playing on the wings. And I think the national team has really helped him because he went to the national team and he became a player that the national team relied on. So he took on that responsibility, that experience, a very good head coach in the national team as well. They gave him freedom to move forward, and he got better at that because that was one of the challenges with David Ruiz. When he gets the ball, he goes crazy moving forward, having no idea what to do with the ball, just trying to get as close as he can to the goal. Now he's a different player in that aspect, and I think we saw it on Sunday when he gets the assist. Probably 2 years ago he tries to take that shot right there, or tries to take on the defender and take the shot. This time he was a lot calmer, made the right play, and then Fafa ended up scoring. So I don't know. Going back to Benja, I think there's a lot of work to do for him, but this is a big year for him, no doubt.
I think they're both at this point box to box midfielders. I think David Ruiz is the more polished of the two at this point in terms of where they are at in their careers and in their trajectory. Jose, one player who I think is ahead of both of them is Yannick Bright, who got the start in this one, but not maybe because he outright won it, but because, again, like we mentioned before, Federico Redondo out with a muscular injury. Jose, what did you think of Yannick Bright's performance? Quickly, because we still have Honduras to talk about. So
Right.
Very quickly, what do you think about Yannick Bright's performance?
Just an okay performance. I think, Yannick should benefit from having Busi. He's obviously going to have to help him a lot. He's going to have to cover some ground for Busi. That's going to come with time. Mascherano is going to have to make a decision soon whether he wants to start Federico Redondo or he wants to really give Yannick Bright a go there. I don't think he did a lot to have an overly impressive performance. But again, I think San Miguelito didn't help him a lot. I think this was a situation where Yannick Bright needed a team that would actually put some pressure on Inter Miami so that he can actually show what he can do in the middle of the field. But Sporting San Miguelito, there were just 11 guys running all over the place. If they had the ball, everybody attacked. If they didn't have the ball, everybody ran back. They had no idea what they were doing on the field. So I think that hurt a little bit Yannick Bright into showing what he can actually do in the middle of the field.
Jose, for me, Yannick Bright had an okay game. There were some good moments. Even with the ball, there were a couple of nice passes that he made going forward that I was impressed by, but he also had some not so great moments defensively. A mixed showing. The level of the opposition. I'm not trying to overlook Sporting San Miguelito for Inter Miami. I just don't think es un nivel de exigencia. It's not going to be a team that pushes you a whole lot and demands a certain level out of you. Like you can get by on second gear or third gear. You don't have to push to fifth gear to win. Again, it's preseason, but in the other games, you saw a little bit more competitive balance. In this game, you didn't necessarily see as much of a competitive balance. So hard to really come up with conclusions. There was a lot of love for Cello earlier in the comment section for his bodyguard-esque approach to defending Messi on the field. He also got an assist in this game, which, look, I'm not discrediting him. It was a good assist. Messi feeds him down the right, and then he feeds the ball in towards the middle. But again, can you expect that from him at a higher level against MLS teams somewhat consistently? I have my doubts. All the same, Inter Miami wins, and now they go off to Honduras. Cinco Estrellas, La H, Jose's home. They'll play Olimpia on Saturday. Well, again, hopefully the streaming link will not have to resort to making us go to different channels or different ways or different methods to invent how to watch this game. Hopefully, Inter Miami has fixed that because it was very, I'm sure, embarrassing for them. I'm sure they were frantically trying to figure it out. It was chaos in their WhatsApp group or in their team's chat or whatever they use to communicate. So hopefully it's better this time because I know a lot of people were frustrated as well, not being able to watch the game. And when you're watching a game and with each passing minute you can't watch the game, people are just going to tune out and they're probably not coming back. So, Jose, what can Inter Miami fans expect from this friendly on Saturday in your home country? What is the vibe like? I know you've been doing a lot of TV hits for programs over there in Honduras this week, as you very well deserve to do. What can you share with us about, one, what the vibe is like heading into this game, and two, what Inter Miami should expect on the field from your favorite team? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you're the Olimpia team that is actually rivals.
Well, it will be a tougher challenge than San Miguelito. I don't know if they'll get to Universitario level because just Pedro Troglio, a well-known Argentine coach, just left the team like a few weeks ago. Went back to Argentina, so they have a brand new head coach, but they have the same roster, so they know how to play with each other. They have plenty of national team players. Unfortunately, right now for the Honduran national team, most of the players are playing in Liga Nacional, and so and most of them play with Olimpia. So some of them, I think two of them have faced Messi before. I think, one of them with the national team, both of them with the national team. One 2016, Alberellis, actually, somebody that people might know here because he played with Houston Dynamo. But he's just recovering as well from a long injury, and I don't expect him to be a factor. But there's a lot of excitement in San Pedro Sula.
But Inter Miami has changed
the travel plans. Yeah, the travel
plans. Share with us. What has Inter Miami done?
Yeah, it's been a disappointing situation for so many fans in San Pedro Sula because initially Inter Miami was supposed to fly on Friday, which is tomorrow.
Match day -1, yes.
Right, like they usually do, like they have been doing throughout preseason.
Correct.
But they have decided to, make the trip on Saturday morning. They should be arriving around 10 a.m. Then they will head to the hotel, which, by the way, the hotel was booked for 2 nights, and they will not spend, them over there, which, it goes with it, I guess. So they will
pay for it, right? No?
Right? Yeah. I mean, they will be there for a few hours, well, maybe 3 or 4 hours. Once they get, from the airport, they'll go to the hotel. They're supposed to do a meet and greet, not with Messi, of course. Although I'm sure people are expecting that to happen.
Foolishly so, but yeah.
Right, and then around 4 p.m. they will leave the hotel and head to the stadium. It's they just invested $3 million on the stadium to make some renovations, which it's unfortunate because over there they decide to they decide to invest only because Messi will be there, but not for any other event, national event.
Look at that. Messi moves mountains even in Honduras.
Right.
Honduras doesn't do anything, but if Messi shows up, I see.
No, it's craziness. Although let me tell you, the tickets, the game is still not sold out. I think we talked about this before, how expensive tickets were. Well, they have done a buy one get one free essentially in the last few days as they try to completely sell out the stadium. There will probably be over 25,000 fans in the stadium, so it's going to be a fun event for people there. I know quite a few people that will be making the trip from the capital, from Tegucigalpa, which is like roughly a 3.5 hour drive. Stadium will actually open at 1 p.m. and the game is at 7, so 6 hours before people will get to enjoy. There will be no halftime show like in Peru, but I don't think people will care about it. They just want to see Messi. They know this is probably the last time they'll see Messi. Although there's a chance that they will face Motagua in the Conca Champions final, and he'll be back hopefully.
No chance.
So, but it's a lot of excitement over there. Let me tell you, from the comments that I've been getting from people, they are excited. They were a little bit concerned, and this is something that when I posted about the situation where Inter Miami will actually travel on Saturday, there was a lot of reaction over there because people started thinking, oh, he's not coming, or he's not going to be here, or why is he coming the day of? Some people felt it like, and they still feel this way, like a slap in the face. Like, why are you going to so many other places the day before? And just because it's Honduras, in Honduras, you're coming, the day of the game, which is unusual for
Qué falta de respeto a la gente hondureña.
Right.
Al público hondureño. What a slap in the face to the Honduran public that they're not arriving the day before. We have some comments here. One from KTD. Is there going to be a crowd at the hotel like the other countries? I imagine so, although, like Jose said, it's probably going to be just mostly Saturday. Although I imagine some people will be there Friday not knowing.
People will be there. Yeah. Yeah, I think people will still go just because I think people will go because that might be the only chance for them to see Messi, right? Because the tickets are so expensive, right? That you rather go for free, stand outside the hotel and maybe see him from the bars and wave at him. And that might be your moment, right? So because you can't make it to the game. And since they, have published already everything that's going on, at what time they're going to arrive, at what time they're going to be at the hotel, then they kind of have a sense of, okay, I'm going to take my chance and I'm going to go. And they will still have time to come back home and watch the game on TV. So I would assume that people will be there on Saturday morning. And that will be it for them, really, because this is a very, very expensive game. And not a lot of people cannot afford to go.
Now, for people who maybe are unfamiliar, I think we sometimes take for granted that not everyone has experienced these type of even friendlies in Latin America. When we say that the fans are at the hotel, they're outside the hotel, but there's barricades, there's cops, there's security. It's not just like, you walk into the hotel and you're just hanging out in the lobby waiting to catch a glimpse. No, you're outside. It has like very much concert type vibes in terms of how tightly secure everything is, how far away you are from things. They allow you to be there. They allow you to see from a distance. But obviously, it would be total chaos if they let
far away, outside the lobby, very far away.
Right. Well, I mean, it would be total chaos if you let everybody in closer and you didn't have barricades and security and police and all that.
Actually, the hotel made a resolution to not allow any guests from, I think, starting tonight. So everybody needs to leave tomorrow morning, and they have no guests until next week.
Is the hotel just going to be empty? Because if no other guests besides Inter Miami, and then Inter Miami's not going to be there.
Yes, they will be. The hotel will be empty. The hotel tomorrow night. The hotel will be empty, completely empty.
What are the employees supposed to do? They're supposed to just walk around and pretend like they're talking to people, or sí, señor, ¿qué puedo hacer por ti? Like, what are they supposed to do?
No, they're just gonna have to go and just wait it out until it's time to head out. But they have limited the amount of employees for every night, just so that they won't have people recording Messi or taking pictures of anything related to Messi. So there's a whole situation when it comes to security as well. They have, I think, over 1,000 police officers. Involved in the whole situation. It's a big event over there.
Jose con la información. Jose with the information. Jose, couple of comments here. One from Jay says, Olimpia will be a good test, which I agree with. Thomas says, I like a player who plays for Olimpia, Ivan Leguizamon.
Used to play for Olimpia, I think. Yeah.
Jose, what can you tell us very quickly about this? I know this is not your favorite topic because you'd rather be talking about Motagua. You wish Inter Miami had played Motagua, but Jorge Mas said, I slap you in the face as well. You do not get your favorite team like Franco got Universitario de Deportes in Lima in Peru. You get the rival team. So take that, Jose. That's what you get. And Well,
I think it was more about the sponsor paying $4 million so that they can play against their team. No, I think they into Miami. I would say there's one more thing that maybe we haven't talked about. Field conditions are going to be okay, but this is a very, very old technology that they have in this particular field. This is
Rinkety,
not.
rinkety.
This is more like 80s 90s type of grass, very thick. They have been working on it and cutting it as low as possible, but still it's not going to be what they're used to. So that can be a challenge, although against Sporting San Miguelito, I don't think field conditions were as good, but I think it's going to come down to the players. I think players from Olimpia are used to this type of games, because not in particular with Messi, but having the attention and the responsibility to perform. This is not any game for Olimpia. If they get crushed by Inter Miami and the losing by 3, 4, 5 goals, they're going to hear about it from the rest of the country, and they will hear about it from their fans. And let's remember, the head coach just got there, and they are coming from a very successful run with Pedro Troglio. So they cannot afford to play a bad game against Inter Miami. So they have that responsibility. I think they will perform.
Jason in the comment section, he's jumping ahead here, but we will answer your question. He says, is it true Miami will not play their starters against Orlando because the Sporting Kansas City game is cooking 4 days after? We'll get there. We'll get there in a second. Jose, I'm curious to see this game because, again, from a competitive standpoint, it should be, at least on paper, a bigger test, a stiffer test, probably the last real preseason test. I'm not trying to diminish Orlando City, but because of what Jason just asked, which we can tie in here, it's unlikely, in my opinion, and reading between the lines, that we will see a full-strength Inter Miami for that last preseason friendly, because 4 days later, they have the CONCACAF Champions Cup opener against Sporting Kansas City. So you don't really want to, not necessarily risk injury, but you don't want to necessarily, fatigue your players when you have such an important game a few days later. So I imagine in that match, you're going to see the one in Tampa against Orlando, which is on Valentine's Day on a Friday night. I don't imagine that we will see the starters. Actually, we'll hear from Javier Mascherano about Messi's minutes in the next 2 games, because you very astutely asked him about Messi's role in the next 2 games, and that is where he kind of, again, reading between the lines, said the game we have to take into consideration is the game against Orlando City and Tampa, because 4 days later we have that match against Sporting Kansas City.
Iremos viendo. Siempre digo lo mismo, no hay nadie mejor que conozca su cuerpo que Leo, y de acuerdo a sus sensaciones lo iremos manejando. Sí tenemos que ir viendo sobre todo el último partido con Orlando, por la cercanía al partido de Sporting, así que ahí lo iremos manejando. Ahora, sabemos que Leo se siente bien jugando, es donde mejor se siente, y todo lo que podamos hacerlo jugar sin correr riesgo, lo haremos.
So, Jose, you agree with me? Messi and the starters
Yes.
are probably not playing a whole lot of minutes in that game against Orlando.
Yes, I actually tweeted this out like once the preseason schedule came out.
Mm-hmm.
I also said that I had my doubts about them playing against Sporting San Miguelito, which I was not correct on that one, because of how much time there was in between games. But I think playing against Orlando doesn't do any good to Inter Miami. Playing the Los Cuatro Fantásticos. I think that would be craziness to me.
I'm laughing because the comment section, Francisco Garcia says, Mascherano más aguado que la camiseta verde desteñida. So, Jose, people are having a go at your shirt.
But it's green. It's verde. That's correct. Yes.
So for people that don't speak Spanish, Francisco Garcia is poking fun at Jose's shirt, which is saying is a faded green, and it is. I don't know how you say más aguado. I don't know how you would make that comparison.
Yeah,
but
that's a
anyway.
tough translation.
But anyway, Interesting game on Saturday. We will watch it live together, Jose. We're going to watch it together with Andreita and our friend Fernando Petrocelli. We're going to get together to watch this preseason game. We're supposed to do it for this last one, but things changed. I don't know if it's going to be a party because you're not a big party guy. You're just, we're just going to
I'll be working, yes.
Yeah, we're going to sit there and just nerd out on football. Hopefully the stream.
Well, that's my definition of a party.
Oh, well, football party for you. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'll get you one of those little like birthday hats. You can wear that. All right, Jose. I don't want to ask you for a prediction. I will say this.
They asked me for a prediction yesterday in a radio show that I went on.
I mean, Inter Miami's going to win, right? We expect Inter Miami to win?
I don't expect Inter Miami to win this game.
Oh, give me a break, Jose.
Unfortunately, I would rather have... This is the only game where I might root for Inter Miami at some point. I might. Wow. I'm not 100% sure.
Putting down your credential to root for Inter Miami because that's how badly you hate Olimpia because you're such a diehard Motagua fan.
Right.
Qué impresionante.
Right. So I might at some point, especially if David Ruiz comes on in the second half. And, there'll be so many things going against Olimpia that I just won't be able to hold it. But I think they go to penalties again. I think it'll be a 2-2.
So a draw. I think Inter Miami wins. I think it'll be a stiffer test, but I still think they're, in the end, going to have more quality. Central American games are tricky. Again, but this is a friendly. It's not a competitive match in official match in the sense. So I expect Inter Miami to win. We'll see if there's any vicious slide tackles from the Hondurans. I will say this, Jose, and I'm warning you now. Because when Inter Miami played the Peruvian team, it was a 0-0 game. The Peruvian team did not lose. And I know this is not your team, but if the Honduran team loses, I will be poking fun at you for the rest of the year, showing you a reflection of Honduran football being bad and Peruvian soccer being...
Well, let me tell you this.
It's not really true. It's a false equivalency, but still.
Before you do that, you're going to have to go and check who's the champion right now. So, the number one team in Honduras right now is not Olimpia. I'll just tell you that.
I mean, to be fair, I am just joking because Peruvian football, unfortunately, right now is terrible. But all the same, we always have our Peru-Honduras debates and arguments, even though both are in the gutter in their respective confederations.
No. We have recovered. We have recovered.
Listen, if Peru played Honduras 10 times and you could pick 10 different cities in the world, Peru would win most of the games. Anyway, all right. Very quickly, because we're going to talk about this weekend's game and player availability. So when we were at training on Tuesday, and we will be back there on Friday after the show records, but as of Tuesday, David Martinez was not out on the field, what sources told me, and I believe you can actually back this up because you've got the information as well. He did suffer an injury in the game against that hidden friendly that they played against Lexington SC. So he's dealing with an injury that required stitches. That's what we were told. Next, so he's we don't know his availability. Seems unlikely that he plays because he wasn't there on Tuesday. Jordi Alba on Tuesday was not with the team. Weren't given much of an update there. We'll see if he's out on the field on Friday. Drake Callender is starting to make his way back. He hasn't fully joined, or at least as of Tuesday, he had not fully joined total team practice in terms of the goalkeepers and what the movements they can do. Javier Mascherano spoke about that. We asked him about that. I know people in the comment section were asking because they wanted us to talk about Ustadi or Callender. So let's play this clip from Javier Mascherano. I asked him to give us an update on Drake Callender. And I also asked him halfway through this clip, through this, not soundbite, but this clip, if Callender's absence is hurting, his chances of practically earning the starting spot because he hasn't had a chance to perform in front of this new coaching staff. So this is what Mascherano had to say about Drake Callender.
Iremos viendo, yo me voy guiando mucho por los médicos, al final es una cuestión médica y bueno, mientras antes lo tengamos, mucho mejor, porque sí, obviamente queremos terminar la pretemporada dándole minutos a todos los jugadores.
¿Perjudica que no esté disponible porque no has tenido oportunidad de verlo así cercano?
Totalmente, sí, todavía no ha podido entrenar, digamos, completamente con el grupo y claro, eso es no solamente para mí, sino para él también, para poder competir de igual a igual con sus compañeros.
So, Jose, I mean, we've talked about Drake Callender. It's been one of probably the biggest talking points for us on this pod and even, behind the scenes since day one of preseason, right? Day one of preseason, we spoke to U.S. soccer players, and Drake Callender was one of them that we spoke to at Florida Blue Training Center, or whatever it's called. And we also spoke to Inter Miami players. And since that day, we've been asking about Drake Callender's status. Obviously, he suffered an injury that then has hindered him further. We've talked about the fit. We talked about his form last year. But to me, and the way Mascherano responded to that follow-up question, I think the excuse is already built in that Ustari's going to start. I think it's clear to me now that, I mean, it's very important that Drake Callender to be healthy to have any chance to start to play this weekend. So we'll see tomorrow if we're only going to see the 15 minutes. So I guess we won't really know if he's still not taking part in full training with the goalkeepers or just doing a limited part of it. But it's important, imperative for him that he plays. If he doesn't, I think Ustari is going to be the starter against Sporting Kansas City and in the regular season opener. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think he's in a very tough spot because Ustari, he took on the opportunity and he actually played, very well. You really can't go back and say, well, he didn't look good in this particular time. He was good. He was good. Goal he got scored on against Sporting San Miguelito. It's not on him at all. So I think Ustari has done enough to be a starter for this team. And if Drake Callender comes back, he's going to come back with so much pressure. Everybody's going to be looking at him and waiting for his first mistake to, beg Mascherano to put Ustari back in the starting lineup. So, very tough situation for Drake.
So you agree Ustari will be the starter in the regular season?
I agree. Yeah. Ustari will be the starter, at least against Sporting Kansas City in the first game of the season. I think he'll start. And, it's gonna take a lot for Drake to take his spot.
So I don't disagree with not only your opinion, but the thought, if that is the thought, to start Ustari over Drake Callender. And we've talked about the reasons why. Again, form, his fit tactically into the system and what this coaching staff, just like the previous coaching staff, wanted out of the goalkeeper who can play with the ball at his feet, feels comfortable on the ball. Drake Callender, it's not his forte. But I don't know if I've seen Ustari tested enough to say he downright deserves to be the starter. I think he's much better with the ball at his feet, so he fits better. But I don't think he's been overly tested. I think he did make one very good save against Sporting San Miguelito in the first half in like the opening 10, 15 minutes. But other than that, I would say from much of his preseason and much of the game against Toronto FC last year that he played in Major League Soccer when he made his league debut, he hasn't been overly tested. So I don't think that there's enough sample size to clearly say, hands down, he should be the starter. But in terms of fit, yes. I mean, he fits the profile better for what this Inter Miami team wants. I want to see more of Ustari is essentially what I'm saying. I want to see more against, in more games, higher level opponents, and see how he does. Again, I think if I was Javier Mascherano today, I'm probably starting Ustari.
Yeah, that's the thing. You only have so much that you can really look into, and Drake Callender has not been a part of it. So, I mean, right now it's a very easy decision actually for Mascherano because Ustari is the one available. My one concern with Ustari is in the long run. Can he play every game? That is the question. I think right now he's a very good shot stopper. A lot of qualities, he brings to the team. A lot of experience as well.
He's more polished, right? Because he's more seasoned. He's more experienced. He's more polished than Drake Callender.
But can he be the regular, goalkeeper for Inter Miami? Can he play on Wednesday against Sporting Kansas City, then again on Saturday and back on Wednesday. Can he do that? Can he stay away from, muscular injuries, which is usually what happens with goalkeepers these days, especially at his age? That would be the challenge for me.
We will see. The jury is out, but it looks like Ustadi's in pole position to win the starting goalkeeper spot, at least at the beginning of the year. We'll see what that means for Drake Callender if that does come to pass. Jose, very quickly, Gonzalo Lujan will speak to us for the first time tomorrow at training because his visa has come through. One of the new signings that was waiting their visa. He's the first one of this last trio that has been signed to get it. So I imagine that means he will be available for selection on Saturday, though maybe not. Maybe he's not fit enough to play, but I imagine he will be. So that's good news for Inter Miami. So we'll have, I guess, more of an update on him next week. We can analyze his performance if he plays, of course, and his comments with regards to his move here. Another player that is officially now a member of Inter Miami, although he's not gotten his visa, is Peluca, our beloved Maximiliano Falcon. He officially was announced, I believe, last Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So after we recorded, very quickly, we'll listen to Mascherano on what Peluca will bring to Inter Miami, and then we will start to round out the show. Although we have one more topic, very interesting topic.
Sí, durante la semana se concretó su fichaje. Es alguien con el que estuvimos trabajando desde el inicio o gestionamos desde el inicio de la ventana del mercado. Sabíamos que era difícil porque Maxi ha sido un jugador muy importante en Colo-Colo en los últimos años y obviamente Colo-Colo, no, como cualquier otro club, no quería desprenderse de él, pero creo que nos va a ayudar muchísimo. Ahora esperar que termine todo el tema de los papeles del visado y poder tenerlo lo antes posible.
¿Puedes describir cómo él va a ayudar al equipo?
Bueno, es un jugador que tiene experiencia, un jugador que tiene ya roce a nivel internacional en Copas Libertadores, digamos que es un chico que lo conocemos porque digamos, gente de mi staff lo ha tenido en otros equipos, entonces sabemos lo que nos puede dar también. Y creo que nos va a aportar también esa cuota de experiencia en la línea defensiva que es lo que también estábamos buscando.
So lengthy, 2 responses there, but says that he will bring, at the end he said, which is a key component, that he will bring experience to the back line that they've been looking for. He also at the beginning says that as soon as the transfer window opened, this was a player that they were after because members of his staff has had previous experiences with him. Doesn't have his visa yet. Don't imagine he will be there on Saturday. But clearly, the idea is that he will be a key figure in that defense, right? Like he, at least from the outside, seems to be, I think it's pretty clear, to be the starting option for the left center back spot next to Thomas Alves.
Yeah, that's what I would think. I don't know what Gonzalo Lujan is going to look like. I know you have talked about him playing as a right back. I still believe he can be a very good center back for this team. I think so. So I don't think Toto Aviles has performed, and has made enough progress for the team and probably us as well to continue to consider him a starter no matter what, which is what's happening right now because we're finding players to play alongside Toto Aviles. And yet Toto Aviles hasn't been overly impressive, a whole bunch of yellow cards. He makes a good play every now and then. I think it's good to put some pressure on him. I think it would really help him.
So Lujan can play both center back and right back. I was told he's coming to be the competition, potentially the upgrade for the right back spot for Chelo. Now, that does not rule out the possibility of him playing at center back at some points, and I imagine we will see him at center back at some points. But I think my understanding is from the outside that the initial idea is Lujan, Toto Aviles, Falcon, and Jordi Alba. they rate Toto Aviles. They rate Toto Aviles. We don't necessarily rate him as high on the outside, but within the organization, they seem to rate him. Although I can imagine that incident in that elimination playoff game probably raised some eyebrows.
That's forgotten. Tata is long gone.
I don't know, man. That's got to raise some eyebrows because what the hell were you doing? Francisco Garcia says, yo veo línea de cuatro con Alba, Falcón, Luján, and Weigand.
I agree.
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. Jose, one more thing that we have to talk about because there's no other player. Yeah, Terasco Segovia, el venezolano, the Venezuelan, still no visa as of Thursday night, and of course Falcón just signed officially, so no visa for him yet. Jose, very quickly, the last thing, last talking point for us is Javier Mascherano had some very interesting words when asked about Cristiano Ronaldo's comments that were revealed earlier this week. Cristiano Ronaldo was asked in an interview, and he went off on a tangent about how he's the best player of all time, and then goes on to say he scored the most goals, so because of that, he's the best player of all time. And then he also adds a line later on saying that he's the most complete player of all time. Mascherano was asked about this, even though Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't play in MLS, nor on someone that Inter Miami is facing. But Mascherano took the bait. He responded. This is what he had to say about those comments.
No, bueno, son opiniones. Yo no tengo, obviamente tengo mucho respeto por Cristiano y no tengo por qué estar analizando su opinión. Eso es lo que él cree y bueno, está bien. Yo tengo mi propio pensamiento y bueno, que no es ese nada más.
Jose, do you want me to translate?
Yes, go ahead and translate that.
He initially says, they're just opinions and I don't have any reason to opine over other people's opinions. I have a lot of respect for Cristiano Ronaldo and that's what he thinks, then, so be it. But then Mascherano couldn't help himself and he says at the end, he does what he said he wouldn't do and says, I have my own opinion and it's not that opinion. So he does comment on the comments. Obviously, he's got Messi on his team. He's coaching Messi, right. So that factor's there.
I agree with him, by the way. Shocking, everybody. I agree 100% with Mascherano.
I mean, yeah, there's not much to say there from our point. I just thought it was interesting. And obviously, it's gone a little bit viral on the World Wide Web because anything Ronaldo and Messi tends to do so, especially when you're comparing them or competing. I mean, honestly, I'll just say this. For me, Cristiano Ronaldo is just playing his character. He's playing who he is, his persona in front of the cameras. At this point in his career, he's just doing it to drum up interest in himself. But I think I don't think it. Yeah, it definitely worked. I just don't think he actually believes that. I think he thinks he's elite. I just don't think he thinks he's the most complete. I think he's just talking to talk. Speaking of little news and nuggets here to end this. Lionel Messi is apparently going to be at the Super Bowl on Sunday. I don't know if that played a factor in their travel schedule changes or whatnot, but apparently Lionel Messi will be taking in the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles in Sunday's Super Bowl. Jose, who you got? Who's winning the Super Bowl? We're going to talk about the other football here. Miami Total Football Radio. What do you think? Give me a Super Bowl prediction.
I'm with the Eagles 100%. I want the Eagles to win it.
I think the Chiefs win it. I think the Chiefs complete the three-peat. They do the fairy tale story with Taylor Swift in the stands, and I think they get it done. Hopefully, if that is the case, then that's the last we hear of the Chiefs for a while because, it's been a lot. Very quickly, two other nuggets. Today, we officially saw the unveiling of the new Inter Miami home jersey, although Inter Miami as a team didn't reveal this. This was done by Jorge Mas and Jose Mas, who traveled to Argentina. They both traveled to Argentina to meet with the president of Argentina, not the president of the Argentine Federation, but the actual president, Javier Milei. And I'm trying to pull up the image. It is exactly what you've seen making the rounds. Pink vertical stripes, just like Argentina's, a nod to Argentina, right, with the vertical stripes, but different shades of pink. Jose, I'm not going to ask you your opinion on jerseys because I know you could care less pretty much.
Yeah.
I know you want to add it to your collection at this year's media game if we have one. I think it's actually nice. I think it does look nice, but obviously, it's. I'm curious to see what shorts they wear and what they
It's
do.
pink.
It's pink. It's pink and salmon. I like it. I do like it. Yeah, but
Could have been worse.
It
Yes,
just
it could have been worse.
it just personifies, just highlights and underlines this era with Lionel Messi. Everything is about catering to him and making it about him. Whether he's doing that or not, it's just how Inter Miami has been during this
Right.
entire time that he's been here. The only other part is Lionel Messi ran into, or my uncle ran into Lionel Messi playing tennis last night on Wednesday night. And I tweeted this out. I saw my uncle's Facebook post. He shared this, with his granddaughter, and apparently they ran into Messi. I cut it obviously for obvious reasons. And there they are. Look, there they are. There's Messi with my sobrina, and apparently, yeah, he got a chance to talk to Messi for a little bit. Got a picture. I can now officially say that my uncle has gotten a question to Messi more recently than you and I have, which is incredible.
Correct.
Maybe next time I'll have to give him a list of questions on our behalf. But anyway, that's neat. That's neat that he did stop by to take a picture because he was with his family playing tennis. All right, we will leave it there. Jose, thank you for joining us. Thank you to everyone in the comment section. Let's see how Inter Miami does in their first ever trip to Honduras. We will be back next week before the preseason finale to recap, analyze this game. I'm sure that will be fun. I'm sure that will be juicy. Maybe we'll have a baleada while we do it. But that does it for this week's show. Give us a like, a share, a comment, a subscribe, a review if you listen to the podcast. Thumbs up, everything and all of it. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, the whole nine. Follow us on our accounts there, and there. So that does it for this week's show. For Jose Armando, I'm Franco Panizo. You have been listening to Miami Total Futbol Radio. And we will talk to you guys again next week.